What's up, y'all? This is Tay Walker. You listening to You Know I Got Soul because you know I got soul. Let's get it going.
So just want to get started. You got the Waste of Time single coming soon. Kind of introduce us to the single a little bit.
Waste of Time, man. It's a song that I pretty much I wrote by myself on the way back home from LA, like in my car in traffic. And basically, my boy Phonix Beats, he gave me the beat, and originally, when I sent it back to him, it was supposed to go to Trey Songz, but I think they just passed up on it, and I was like, yo, you know what? I love this song. I want it. Forget Trey Songz. Let me get on there. So that's kind of how that one came to be. And yeah, it really stemmed from just how I was feeling one day. You go through random emotions, and that was just the emotion that beat triggered for me. So.
Right. And then in terms of that song, can you just talk about, what you want people to feel when they hear that song?
Basically, when you hear the song "Waste of Time," it's gonna relate to pretty much everybody who's had that one significant person in their life for a really long time, and something happens and their whole relationship just kind of goes through the toilet, and you kind of realize, wow, like, was this whole time that I was spending with you, was it just all a waste? Like, did we not get anything out of this? Are we just going to move on to the next person? I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to that. I actually personally have never really even gone through a specific kind of breakup like that.
Yeah.
But I was having a couple little issues with my significant other at that time, and I was just thinking, like, damn, what if we just broke up? Like, this would be a real big waste of time,
Right.
So that's kind of how I want people to feel about it.
Cool. And of course, this song will be part of your Tay Walker Tuesday series. So can you kind of fill us in on, that series and what we've missed out on so far and what you have coming up?
Yeah, man. Tay Walker Tuesdays. I actually haven't dropped the song in a little while. I've been really working hard on just getting this whole album put together. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to be a heavy hitter on the album, which is dropping on the 30th. So be on the lookout for that.
Okay, cool. And of course, people know you as part of the group The Internet. So just talk about your role in that group a little bit.
Well, everybody in that group is actually like my best friends. I grew up with Sid. Me and her used to write songs when I was like 10 years old, 11 years old. We'd just be in the studio, or she had her own studio at that age. So believe it or not, she kind of taught me everything that I really know about, like mixing and mastering and, the engineering part of it. But yeah, like one day I was getting out of school. I went to Los Angeles Recording School in Hollywood, and right down the street is Paramount Studios, and she was over there working on Purple Naked Ladies, and she hit me up like, yo, come through. So, I rolled through. She's in the booth, and she's trying to lay down this part for the song called They Say, and it was actually the second verse, which I'm on now, but originally it was supposed to be her. And I just went in there and kind of like laid it down, and she was like, yo, we keeping that shit. And I was like, oh, cool. I'm down for it. And basically, after that whole process went down, she was like, yo, since you're part of the album now, I need you to go on tour with me. And I'm like, you already know. So, I became a keyboardist, and me, her, Patrick, Chris, and Matt, we just started rehearsing a lot, and we got really, really tight as a band. And we pretty much, started off just being the tour band. And every time we were in the rehearsals, we would come up with new melodies and new ideas for new songs. And eventually, Feel Good came out of that. And it was just a really fun experience, just creating with your best friends. So that happened. We did like 5 or 6 tours. And, it just gave me a lot of experience as far as performing in front of large, amounts of people. I've never done that before. So, I got to thank Sid for showing me the light.
Right. And, through that experience, you've been able to develop your own musical talents. So with your upcoming project, just talk about the sound a little bit and what people can expect as far as, sonically speaking and maybe some of the influences.
When I show people my album, a lot of people tell me the same thing. They're like, yo, this reminds me of like 90s R&B, like back when R&B was really serious, when you had cats like Tyrese and Genuine and, Usher and, you had Brian McKnight and Boyz II Men, and those are really all my big influences that I listened to growing up when I was a kid. I was a big R&B head, big neo-soul head, big Motown head, and I just wanted to, I guess, incorporate all of those sounds into my album, but kind of have it a little updated with, beats from cats like Phonix Beats and A-Assist. And then, I actually produce my own music as well. So, there's a lot of songs on there, it's all me, producing, engineering, writing, everything. I just did it all. So, that's what you're going to hear on this album, is a lot of just straight from the soul, just me,
Cool. And of course, talking about your album, you said it's coming out soon?
Yes, it is. It's coming out on the 30th of this month, actually.
Okay, and, I believe right now you're on an independent deal, right?
Yeah, I'm just doing everything independent, man. I got my own little team, my own marketing team right now. I got my manager, got my PR. We kind of just rocking it solo right now.
Right, and that's kind of interesting because the internet, that brand from that group, is such a big thing. So, talk about if you have any plans to pursue a major label, or are you comfortable, just doing the independent thing?
No, I thought about it, but at the end of the day, having a friend like Sid who's already in that kind of situation, I get to see the pros and the cons without really having to sign anything on a piece of paper. And she kind of gave me some game on it, was like, yo, if you can do it solo, do it, like, hands down. You don't need that loan from anybody. If you got pure talent and people, really can relate to what you're doing, today's social media is so powerful that it almost replaces the label for you, where everything that the label used to do for you, you can pretty much do by yourself. And she just would always give me game and talk about, like, try to stay away from the label as much as possible, because, at the end of the day, the label only wants to make money off of you. And I understand that, but, at the end of the day, I feel like if I stay solo and I keep it in a tight-knit group, we can make it way bigger than it is right now.
Right.
So I don't necessarily plan on signing to a label anytime soon, but then again, who knows?
Right. And of course, with your association with the internet, moving forward with your own brand, do you kind of want that link or that association with that, or do you kind of want to build your own separate brand?
I feel like I'm going to always be a part of the internet, because, those are just like my best friends. I talk to them all the time. I'm still in the studio with them all the time. I'm just not on tour with them right now because I have to, focus on myself. But the internet thing is always going to be a part of me. It's always what got me started. I released all my first music while I was on tour with them. The whole internet fan base knows of me, and, I'm going to always be a part of the internet. But at the same time, I do want to kind of venture on to do my own thing and potentially become my own entity.